Hello, all you wonderful Rise of Kingdoms players out there. This is Dragothien here. Today we've got something that you guys all have to know. You gotta know this, okay? You just gotta know this. This is something that has been in the game from the beginning, from what I've been told. But it's not anywhere to be found in the actual game as far as it getting described. Okay, so this is something that's news to me, and it's something that came up whenever I just did this commander's commander mastery guide just a couple days ago. One of the questions kind of intrigued me because I'm like, why would you think that that's a thing in the game? But the more I thought about it, I'm like, there might be some credence to that. So I went and asked the developers, and sure enough, they were right. So the question was, hey Drago, isn't there a cap on buffs for your allies? Isn't that cap 5? I was like, what are you talking about? It says buffs all armies in an area, right? So for instance, Trajan's first skill says, troops led by this commander and nearby allied troops gain 10% increased up to 25% skill damage for 3 seconds and 15 rage per second up to 40 rage per second. And then that gets better with the expertise. That's massive. That's a huge skill. That's really good. But somebody in the comments was like, well, only 5 people can get that. I'm like, what are you talking about? So sure enough, asked the developers, and wouldn't you know it, they said, and I quote, in fact, when I say and I quote, I'm going to read it to you, said, there is a 5 army cap if it's not specified on any AoE buffs. My question was, when did the 5 army cap happen? I don't recall seeing that in a patch note. Response was, it's always been like this. There's always been a AoE buff cap of 5. So what that means, Trajan and his first skill, Constantine and his first skill, reduction of damage taken by the commander's troops and nearby allied troops by 10%. 5 people. That's it. Also, let's see who else. Who is our Huckleberry? William. And his 4th skill? Yeah. William and his 4th skill. When Hidden Bloodline hits 2 or more targets, all this commander's troops and nearby allied troops gain 20%. Increased defense and 50 rage per second for 3 seconds. 5 people. 5 people max, people. Joan. 5 people max. Cleo, it is actually stated in here, up to 5 allied troops. So they know the verbiage. They know the terminology. It's there. It is within their grasp. Cleo is special. She actually has it spelled out. I thought that was kind of cute. And then, of course, we have one of our brand new, as well, legendaries, Mulan. Troops led by this commander and allies within the circular area of effect. Read 5 allies within the circular area of effect. Gain 15% increased attack, defense, and health, and 25% increased march speed for 2 seconds. 5 people get this buff. Now, obviously, this is a huge change. And it's not a change. It's always been that way, but we've just never been told. And this game has been out for 2 years. So now it is concrete, 100% truth. This is exactly how the game works when it comes to AoE buffing of your allies. Now here's the caveat to that. How does the mechanic work? So say you've got a murder ball, or you've got your defensive clump in the middle for arc, or in KBK, or what have you. How does it work? It is random. It is random. And not only is it random, but whether you got the buff already or you didn't does not factor into the randomness. So say you've got 40 people in there, you pop a Mulan buff, 5 people get that buff. They're all like, yay, we got it. The other 35 are like, oh, we didn't get anything. You guys suck. The 5 people lose it in 2 seconds unless you expertise her. And then, of course, it jumps up to 3 seconds. Next time around, It could be completely different. It could be the exact same 5. It could be 2 out of the 5. It doesn't matter. Now, here's the other thing. If you've got multiple Mulans, okay, so say you've got 40 people and you've got multiple Mulans, if somebody else has already gotten the Mulan, have just got the Mulan buff, and you've got a second Mulan firing hers off, it doesn't matter if one of those people in your clump have the Mulan buff yet or not. They could either get it refreshed, or one of the people that didn't get the Mulan buff might get it as well. So there is no rhyme or reason. There's no mechanic in the game to parse that out. This is a huge change in my opinion. This I don't want to say it changes everything, because it doesn't, but it's a big thing to have to think about when you're talking about organizing your teams. Is the buff worth having for 5 players at a time, at any given time? Or is it better to replace that commander with just raw skill damage or just raw AoE damage or whatever, right? Is it better? Is it better to have damage over a buff with this mechanic having been in the game from the beginning, and now you know for a fact that this is exactly how the game works? So, to me it depends. So if you've got more than, I think there's a break-even point. If you've got more than 20, 30, 40 people in a clump. When I say people, I mean armies. So that's 5, 6 people. That's when you want, in my opinion, to start shifting your composition to single target debuffs and damage versus buffs. Does that make sense? Because if you've got a Joan up front, right? If you've got a Joan and a Mulan and Constantine and things like that. Now Constantine has a single target debuff, which is nice, but the buff component doesn't nearly have as much value, in my opinion, when you have more than a certain amount of people in a clump or in a murder ball. You'd much rather have the target debuff for target calling and damage. You want that damage. You want that DPS to focus fire all these things down, or AoE fire all these things down. AoE debuffs still work the way that they always have. And again, there is no AoE debuff in this game that doesn't have a number on it, as far as I've seen. I may have missed one or two, but if that's the case, that also applies. This same mechanic applies not only to buffs for allies, but to debuff, AoE debuffs as well for your opponents. So this is a huge deal, guys. You have to understand this game mechanic. When you're preparing to set up fights in Ark of Osiris, certainly this is a huge deal. Understanding this better is going to help you get better at Ark. And then also in KVK and just general PvP, you need to know this, because if you don't, your opponent might, and that's a significant difference. In my opinion, this is a huge difference, knowing this versus not knowing this. I'm looking at when I'm setting up my defenses, or whether I'm setting up an attack or whatever, and then certainly in Osiris League, knowing this feature is going to be a difference maker. It's a game changer. So having this on my tool belt, on understanding how this game mechanic works, is going to be helpful. From a strategy perspective, and that's what this game is, guys. It's a strategy game. You need to know this stuff. So thank you for whoever asked me that question on my Trajan video, because you piqued my interest, and that made me kind of dig into it. And now I've got the official answer. It is, in fact, a 5 allied troop, 5 allied army cap on any allied buff from these commanders. And this may even, to me, maybe devalue some of these AoE buff commanders for anything but Canyon, really, because the Canyon, obviously, you've got 5 armies, right? So that works. Maybe that's why Joan is so good in Canyon, because she's buffing everything, because that's only 5. And then same thing with the AoE debuffs. They debuff 5 at a time. So I think that's a huge deal, guys. I think it's a huge deal. I think you should know this. If you like this video, please hit the like button, hit the sub button. We are a sponsored content creator for Rise of Kingdoms. And I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys this weekend. We've got migration in 9.16, by the way, people. If you're interested, reach out to me, Yoda, or Lady Tammy. Inside the game in T2A, we will get you on the migration chat. It's happening tonight at Reset. Hope you guys enjoy. See you guys next time. Cheers. Have a good one. Take care.